Hi, my name is Jabari Robinson. Thank you for joining us for our best practices video about the multiple mini interview. The multiple mini interview, or MMI, is basically speed date interviewing. Timing varies by institution. You typically have anywhere between a 6-minute station to a 10-minute station, but the average is around 8 minutes, with 2 minutes to read the prompt and 6 minutes to respond. For our purposes, we'll be utilizing the 8-minute station, which gives the student 6 minutes to respond. When you have 6 minutes, it is good to have your initial response within 4, leaving enough room for follow-up questions. Not every institution will ask follow-up questions, so you should be prepared to talk for the full 6 minutes. Later in the video, we will discuss tips with regards to timing your response. In a typical in-person MMI, you could come across a lot of different types of stations. There can be a group task, debate, role play scenarios, a writing prompt, triage, ethical questions, the why medicine, dentistry, etc. question, tell me about yourself, and even a break. While you may possibly come across traditional style interview questions in an MMI, it is not as common. We have noticed that applicants need more help with ethical questions, so these video examples will be addressing ethical scenarios. I will be providing you with some best practices to help you prepare for these types of prompts. Professionalism. Remember, this is a professional interview and you should treat it as such. Make sure you're dressed professionally. When entering the station, whether that is virtual or in person, make sure you introduce yourself. If this is an in-person interview, be sure to shake the hand of the interviewer with a nice firm grip. When your time is up and you're exiting the station, thank your interviewer for their time and again, shake their hand on the way out. In the virtual setting, you should thank your interviewer before transitioning to the next station. Let's first address the virtual interview and how to best prepare beforehand. Make sure you're dressed professionally again and that you do not have any inappropriate items around you. Also, your background should not be too busy. It would be ideal to have a neutral background, or if you're using Zoom, setting up a virtual background. Make sure ceiling fans are off, pets are not in the room, and doors are closed. Pay attention to the lighting of your room. It would be ideal to have a forward-facing light on your face so you're not casting any shadows. If you are using a window as your main source of lighting, make sure you face the window and it is not behind you. Camera angles do matter. You should be centered in the frame and looking directly towards the camera. The camera should not be to the side and you should not be looking up or down. It is important that you make sure you have a stable internet connection as well. You will want to test all of your equipment at least twice before your interview. And if possible, it would be best to connect directly to your internet modem by using an Ethernet cord. You would need to decide if headphones are necessary or appropriate for the occasion. Composure. During your interview, it is important to stay composed. Professional school interviews can be very nerve-wracking, and it is important to know how to calm those nerves while interviewing. First, take a deep breath. It is okay to pause and to collect yourself even while in the interview. Don't pause too long. You don't want them to think that you've stopped answering your question. Also, if you tend to talk with your hands or fidget and move around a lot, something you can do is to move your hands out of sight or put them in your lap so you do not unconsciously move your hands into view of the interviewer. Be aware of any verbal crutches or nervous laughter. Now, some general tips. With these prompts, you should be showcasing your critical thinking and soft skills, such as your empathy and compassion, communication, seeing the bigger picture, teamwork, your creativity and innovation, your adaptability, your ability to think outside of the box, your composure, etc. In your response, make sure you show empathy for all players, as these scenarios operate in shades of gray, and you want to be careful not to showcase any implicit bias. You don't want to erase the perspectives of the players involved. In order to showcase your critical thinking skills, make sure you're thinking out loud so your interviewer can see how you got from point A to point B. Practice with time to get a feeling for 4 minutes. If you find yourself in a station where the interviewer does not ask you any follow-up questions, take a pause to be sure that they're not just catching up with their notes. Then pull in any additional pieces of information or elaborate on a focal point of your response to further answer your question. A good way to reconnect you to the prompt and to extend your time is to tie in personal examples if they are relevant. You do not want to ramble and destroy all of the good points you've already made. Now, let's talk about strategies. In your 2 minutes to review the prompt, you generally do not have the ability to take notes. Therefore, you need to think through all of the pieces of the scenario mentally and sort them in a way that you can remember while giving your answer. One of the best strategies is to use the bullet point system. First, you want to identify the players in the prompt and each of the possible perspectives they may have. Answers can delineate based on the perspective that this person takes. For example, if this person is angry, what pathway would that look like versus what if they were understanding? Approach each answer as if your interviewer has the opposite perspective and make sure that you address each outcome respectively. You can also identify players that may not be obvious. For example, insurance companies, family members, coworkers, bystanders, under other government entities, employers, and customers, etc. Second, take note of any information that is not explicitly stated in the prompt. Those missing pieces can inform your answer. Imagine if you got additional information, how would that affect your response? For example, some missing information could include gender, age, the time, location, or setting, sources used, the statistics, severity of condition, urgency of the problem, etc. Check your implicit bias and do not add this information as if it was fact. Then, take note of any additional questions that may be asked in the prompt and address those in your response. Do not leave anything out that is explicitly asked of you. Post-interview tips. As the station ends, you should thank your interviewer before moving on to the next station. If possible, you should remember the names of your interviewers to send them a thank you note afterwards. If you're not able to remember the names or attain the individual interviewer's name, you can send a thank you note to the professional school admissions office. Make sure you understand the school's policies around thank you notes.